Doug Adams here to talk all things running with you, and today I want to talk about something that I think is really important for anybody working with runners, whether you're working with recreational runners, higher level runners, or even field athletes that run. I think there's a piece of the evidence and the literature that most of us know, but maybe we don't do something about. And what I really want to talk about is history of prior injury. We know throughout numerous studies that this is probably the biggest predictor of why somebody will get injured in the future. If they've had an injury in the past, they're more likely to have one in the future. Okay, so that makes sense. But I want you to start thinking about next level. Why is that? Do the tissues not heal appropriately? Are we not rehabbing it well? Do we not build back strength? And I think there's one more thing that we should check out, and maybe it's that form changes. And I had a personal experience with this. So I've got a race coming up soon, and I was in the higher part of my training, and so I went out early in the morning to get some running in, and unfortunately I sprained my ankle. And I was able to keep running. It wasn't that bad, but I felt it, and I knew something was going on. So I kept running, and later that night I started developing a little Achilles pain. And so I rehabbed that a little bit, did some self-care, and then I went for another run about 2 days later after giving a little rest. And the Achilles was still bothering me a little bit. I probably should have rested a little bit more. But after it, really my left knee started having some issues on the opposite side from the ankle that I had injured. So I really thought, what am I doing here? How could this be contributing? So luckily I was able to take a quick look at my form, and I want to show you what that looks like. So let's pull that up on the screen here. Good, and why don't we bring this to full screen so we can see it. And so this is my running, and what we're seeing here is we're looking from the back right now. This is a 3D analysis, and we're looking, blue is on the right, and the left is on the right, and it was a right ankle, so I felt like I was changing my gait a little bit. And I think this is a big part of what goes into why people have these injuries long standing. And if you look at this is not my normal form. That's definitely some overstriding, and we see that I landed 3 centimeters in front of my body further on the right than on the left. That's what we're looking at, and that was causing even a little collapsing on that right side. So definitely some overstriding, which is not my normal mechanics, at least I like to think it's not. But now if we look here, we look in comparison to the left, and even the left is a little bit more overstriding, but you see the foot's a little bit more stacked underneath of the knee, which is a better position. So definitely some differences, and we can see why that 3 centimeter difference existed right versus left. So that's a pretty big, significant difference there. So I said, let's try some different things and try some gait recues. So now I'm opening up the trial after, where I did a little gait modification, and I was able to change it pretty quick. And this is a lot more like my normal running mechanics here, trying to get that foot to land close to the body and the foot stacked underneath of the knee. And you can see that I was able to get those mechanics pretty good. And there's still a little bit of difference side to side, now about 2 centimeters, but the overall numbers came way down, and I'm landing in a much better position. As soon as I did this, I could actually feel a difference in the left knee that I really didn't even notice until after runs. But when I changed my form, I really did start to feel that big difference. So we see a pretty big change in mechanics here, and I think that's really important for us to note, that we have to be aware that yes, we need to restore motion, and we need to do impairment and resolution, we need to build back strength, but if we're not looking at form, we're really missing out on a big piece of the puzzle. And I think that this could be why a lot of the athletes that we see, they get into this cycle of injury after injury after injury. They don't know, we don't get a memo that we change our running form. I'm very aware of my mechanics and my form because of what I do, and I still really wasn't able to self-diagnose. There's another study I often quote that when they looked at runners, they even asked them, hey, do you heel strike or do you land more forefoot strike? And masters and collegiate runners, less than 50% were able to say correctly what part of their foot they landed on. So if we look at other more intricate variables of running, we're really not able to tell because of the speed of it. So we really need to look at that. a little bit more in detail. And then a patient I had a very similar situation come up. So I'll bring up this form for the patient here. And what we're seeing, this is a returning state champion, fast runner, sub 16 runner, had sprained his ankle earlier in the summer. And then on the right side here, and we see he kind of did the same thing where he started to overstride more on that right side. He had a 4 centimeter difference side to side. And because of that, you could even hear him on the treadmill. He was landing very hard on the left leg. And I almost think he was trying to get off of that right leg a little quicker and didn't trust it, and his mechanic had changed. So he developed a lot of almost some early signs of maybe some femoral stress reaction, and had a lot of issues with it. So we were able to get it calmed down, but he got to me at the point it was already calmed down, but he still wasn't full, so we were looking at his form. So we were able to change his mechanics again. For him, we used a little different cue. He had a little lower cadence, and it was a simple cue that really showed some good positive effect for him. We see that his foot's in a much better position. And then if you look at his strike from center of mass, now he's even at 29 on both sides. So the symmetry made a big difference. And a couple days after this video was taken, he ran and actually got a PR right after this because he just felt a lot more symmetry in his running for him, and he wasn't having the pain on either side now. So I think that it's really interesting. What I would just encourage you, and if we're getting out there as certified running gait analyst, or if you're working with runners, really get out there and make sure that you're checking everybody's form, because they might not think that their form changed, but you have to trust their opinion, but really verify it and be able to go in and say, I think things are a little bit different here. We have the 3D that we can compare and see a little bit more of the minutia, but even if you pick up on that auditory sound of, it sounds different. That's something that I often trust, is my ears even more than my eyes, to say it just doesn't sound right. Or if they're saying it just doesn't feel like right, then really work on it and make sure that you're checking out. So please go out, check form, make sure you're looking at this. If you want to learn more about this stuff, as always, we have our free Essential Elements of Running course, which you're glad to check out. And then if you want to really dive in a little bit more, we've got our Certified Running Gait Analyst courses. Check that out. Level 1 is available now, and Level 2 at the time of this recording is in production and will be out shortly here. So thanks. Please post comments, share the video, let us know what you see if you've noticed this as well, and love to really continue the discussion. So thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe as well.